going to be dealing with today is the concept of the birth certificate and the certificate of live birth, and then we'll touch on a little bit about the bill of exchange, that the individual would send to the Secretary of the Treasury to put them on notice of the fact that we will be operating as a bank. And yes, we can operate as a bank. Each and every one of us are bankers. Each and every one of us are a bank. And maybe one day I'll do another video going through the CPA book, the civil, the the Certified Public Accounting book, the regulations book, and it actually explains in the book unequivocal terms that a man or a woman can in fact be a bank in and of themselves, and we are, because we are the ones. It is through our physical projected labor throughout our life is what the government has used to pay off to use as collateral for paying off the national debt. Okay, so by us being the collateral, then we are in fact the source of the funds. We are the source of the funds. So what that means is that we are in fact the banks. We are the banks for this country. This country gets its finances, it gets its worth, its money gets its worth through us by the sheer fact that we exist and our birth certificates and social security numbers exist. That is how the government is getting the actual loan from the World Bank, the IMF, or the federal excuse me, the federal what do you want to call it, the whatever you want to call it, Federal Exchange or whatever, I mean, the World Bank, the IMF, they're all the same place. The Federal Reserve, there it is, the Federal Reserve. So it is our existence that makes the that's actually used as a collateral for the loan that the government got from the World Bank. So now we're going to I'm going to show you guys just a real quick example of, this is my birth certificate. It's the real deal. As you can see there, it's the raised seal. It's bubbled up. Let me see if I can get a better angle on it. There you go. This thing is real. It's genuine. My mother's real name is Deborah. Okay. Now, on the back of it, this is a stamp that we made. All right, that you will stamp on the back of your birth certificate when you become a secure party creditor, and you want to, or if you want, I mean, you don't necessarily have to become a secure party creditor to use the money orders, but it adds strength and validity to the fact of what you're saying that you're doing and who you are. Okay, so this stamp we created, you can get it made. We got this one made at Staples. All right, went to Staples, and they actually create stamps for you, rubber stamps, and you could put whatever you want on it. So what we told them to do is put this on there. This is what you're supposed to put on it, and this is a notice. And if you notice, it's on the back of the birth certificate. You do not write anything on the front of the birth certificate. Why? Here. Do not accept this transcript unless the raised seal of New York State Department of Health is affixed thereon. Right? Now, here, underneath it says, note carefully, any alteration voids this transcript. All right? Now, all of this information is on the front. And in law, you have two sides to every document. You have a public side. That is the side with all the information and, the general information that people need to know. This is called the public side. In law, on the back of the document, that is the private side. So this is the private side, okay? And if you sending any kind of notes or messages to these people like this, sending them notice, you want to put it on the back side, on the private side, and then you contact them privately. You're going to mail, when you mail something to them, you do not use the post office. That is a public venue. That is a public avenue for informing these people or contacting people. You do not use the post office. You're supposed to use a private agency, DHL, UPS, FedEx. FedEx is not a part of the government. It's a privately owned mailing agency. DHL, the same thing. And UPS is also a privately owned agency. And then you would send the mail, either certified mail with a return receipt, or you'll send it registered mail. Okay? And that's how you would notice these people. So, what do you do? On the back, accepted for value and honor, exempt from levy for my remedy, release the proceeds, products, accounts, and fixtures in the order or orders to me immediately in accordance with the public policy, House Joint Resolution 192, UCC 10-104/2A, which is the new version of 10-104. 2A-104, that's the new 10-104. And also UCC 1-104. And these are the laws that are clarifying that you are entitled to take control of these accounts and do exactly what we're doing. These are the laws that are saying that we can. Exemption number is going to be your social security number without the dashes. That is your exemption number. Okay? The UCC contract account. What is my UCC contract account? It's my social security number with the dashes. That is your bank account number, your federal bank account number. Okay? That is the number for you to access your bank account with the government. And then you're going to put a value on your birth certificate. Mine is the same value that I put on my UCC1 financing statement for the worth of the entire estate when I sued my all capital name. All right? When I sued my all capital name and had a security agreement connected to it, I did it for $900 billion. So this birth certificate is worth $900 billion that the federal government will now be able to use the interest off of. They will take the interest that's made off of this $900 billion when they begin to trade it on the stock market, now with my authority. Now with my authority. All right? And I use the principal, the $900 billion, for paying off any debts. So when I use the money orders and things of that nature, it's coming out of this $900 billion. Now, here's the beautiful thing about that. Once you make your purchases or what have you with the money orders, then you will file the tax forms, and along with those tax forms, the 1099 OID, the 1096, we discussed in other videos, the 1040, the 1040V, and the Form 56, appointing the Secretary of the Treasury as your fiduciary trustee, which you'll be doing with this letter here. And we'll get to that in a minute. So once you've done that, then the 1040 is the tax form that tells them, hey, I'm entitled to payment, rather to have those funds given back to me. So when you receive that, and you will receive a check from the IRS, you will receive a check. What you should do with that check is turn the check over. On the back side of it, where it wants you to sign your name, you sign your name, and then you put pay to U.S. Treasury, and then send it to the U.S. Treasury. All right? Because what you're doing is you're replenishing your account. If you have access to this account and you're using this account, then you do not need money. You don't need to use this cash that they're passing around. Okay? Because this account is unlimited. So what you're doing is you're putting an amount on it. You're using the money orders if you decide to use the money orders. After this point, you don't really need to use the money orders. We just prefer to use them. Once you get the check back from the IRS, all right, you're going to take that check, you're going to turn it over, because the check is for you. Now, it's up to you if you want to cash it. I would suggest that you don't. You know what I mean? I would suggest that you really don't. You take that check and you turn it over, you re-endorse it back to the United States Treasury. Give them back the money, you know what I'm saying, for the replenishing of your account. Okay? Then you put the date, and you sign your name. That /S/ that's for signatures, obviously. And you sign your name, and then you put your right thumbprint over your last name, right on it, right on top of it. Okay? And this is the birth certificate. This is what you do with the birth certificate. Next, we're going to skip over the bill of exchange. We're going to go to this. This is the fun one. This is beautiful. All right, folks. This is, we'll get to this part. next. Hold on, later. This is, we'll get to this part later. We're going to get to this. This is what a birth long form or certificate of live birth looks like. This is what mine looks like. Yours may be a little different. It may be, printed out, typed out. All right, depending upon when you got yours. I'm born in 74. All right, the time is on there. I'm gonna show you the difference between a certificate of live birth, right, or a birth long form and a birth certificate, and you'll see why they call it the long form. Birth certificate. What do you have? You have name, and they misspelled my middle name. They got me Devon, and that's not correct. It's supposed to be an elegant name. It's Duval. That's my uncle's name. My mother's brother. Anyway, they have name, sex, date of birth, town, right, that you were born in, mother's name, father's name, the date this document was filed. Notice 9 days after I was born. Why? Because they have to put the paperwork together to create the account. To create the account. 9 days later, all right? That's when it was filed. Because they had to create this fiction, and it takes time. It takes a few documents to put together to create this thing, to create a security, all right, and to create the bond. After that, state file number. This is the file number that it's under. That's all that's on the birth certificate. That's why this is called the short form. It's another name for it. The long form, it has my full name, right, date of birth, the time, right. Also, sex, right? Oh, let me back up a little bit. Okay. It lets you know, are you a twin? Were you born singular? Single. I have no twin. Check that out. Some people mistake my sister, Adrian. Hey, what up, 88, aka Schmate. It's good. It's my sister. We got the same type of, I don't know if you call it a birthmark, but we have like an extra, like, I shouldn't even be saying this, but we got like under our right chest, we have an additional nipple under our chest. Only me and her. That's it. There's no one, none of my other brothers and sisters have it. So anyway, we're twins in that respect. County, the town, the town, the county, and the village. All right, I was born in Copiague. I'm giving you guys all kind of information about me. Lakeside Hospital. That hospital no longer exists. It no longer exists. I went to the town hall. They even gave me the tax lot. Right? They have like sector. They have every area in the United States is sectored off, and there's tax rates, fees, or what have you for those particular areas. All right. Now check this out. My mother. Right? They give your mother's name. Not just that, her age when she had you, and the state, her social security number. My mother's dead, so you can't use that number. All right, she's been gone since 2005. But they give you the social security number, right? Check that out. New York, Suffolk, Babylon, right? Was it City Village, North Babylon? That's where the hospital was. All right. Inside, what? You see that? Corporate limits. Yes or no? No. Why? Why are they talking about corporate limits? Because here's your corporation. This is the certificate of live birth, of something alive, a real man or woman being born. This is not born. This is a corporation. This is well within corporate limits. A living man or woman, they're not born into corporate limits. So a corporation is something dead. It's non-existent. It's existing, but it does not live. So we're not in the corporate limits. Street number, right? Okay, Babylon Brook Motel. Babylon Brook Motel. What is this at? Okay, Babylon, New York, 11702. All right, so Otto is the father. He's 22. Right? North Carolina. Check that out. He's born in North Carolina. Okay, boom. So, social security number and, right? Look at this. Informant. What are you informing about? You're informing about a corporation being, you're informing about essentially, because when you fill out the forms for the birth certificate, the birth certificate and social security card, what you're doing is you're informing the state that you now have a product for them. You now have a product for them. All right. Now remember, this is for a living person. So the product is not here. The product is created here. So now they're informant, right? Name, give her name. And they don't get the father's name. Why? Because they have to bastardize you. They have to bastardize you. Take you and separate you from your inheritance. The inheritance comes through the father. All right? And, you know, people will, I don't feel it. I don't think that that's right. And that's some real male chauvinistic. Listen, I don't create the laws. I don't create the tradition. That's what it is. So get out of that bag and focus on the fact that this is how they operate. This is how they operate. We have to accept the fact that they operate and deal with them according to their terms because we're in their system. So that's not the issue. We're not even going to concern ourselves with that. We're going to focus on the fact that what they're doing and how we can get ourselves out of this jam. That's what we're doing. Okay? I certify that the above child was born alive. Birth certificate doesn't even mention that. At the place and time and on the date stated above, right? And this is the signature of, it's supposed to be the doctor, right? And this is May 20th, 1974, which is the actual date that I was born. And what? Certificate, Gloria A. Santiago. That's the doctor. That's her name. What's this? Straight path. Wyandanch. Holy crap. Right? That's her mailing address. This is what you get when you get the long form. This is the nurse, I believe. Registrar. This is the registrar's name. I'm sorry. This is the registrar's name. Bam. May 29th. Why? Again, remember what we talked about. May 29th is when it was filed. That's when it became a document. And they need a signature to authorize the fact that my mother is now, she just purchased what do you call it? A stock in the U.S. corporation. And that's what happened. That's what this is. This is a stock receipt. It's letting them know that we now have stocks and bonds. We just invested into the United States corporation. That's what the birth certificate is. It's your receipt. It is your receipt to the stock, to your stock that's owed to you by the United States because you allowed them by filling out those forms for the birth certificate and social security card. When you filled out those forms, it was an application to purchase stock in the United States because the United States is a corporation to purchase stock. So now we are stockholders in the United States corporation. Okay? Which, you know, it is what it is. So now I bought my birth long form to, after I got it, you know, it's, where's that bubble at? There go the bubble seal right there. You can see the bubble seal all right here. All right. This is called a self-authenticating document. A document when you get it from whatever agency or what have you, that it's already, it comes with a raised seal. It's called a self-authenticating document. All right. It's already authenticated. Then I took it to the county, right? Judith A. Pascal, right? We know who that is. We should know. You've seen enough of my videos. You see, I got crazy documents from her. Judith A. Pascal. All right. Now, okay. Notification of appointment of registrar of vital statistics. All right. This right here goes with, I don't want to go through all the details of it, but this is the registrar, right? Diana Aluska, right? Carol Orsk, whatever her name is. So they stamped it up. They stamped this up, gave it a bubble seal here, right? And this right here is called a letter of exemplification. This is called a letter of exemplification. The letter of exemplification, the purpose of the letter of exemplification is, if you read, I'm going to try to put it up here so you can see what it says. But essentially what it is it's a judge certifying that the county clerk is, in fact, the true county clerk and is authorized to certify and authenticate documents, all right, on behalf of the county. And then the county clerk then in turn turns around and certifies that the judge is really, right, that's it right here. The clerk then turns around and certifies that the judge is truly a true judge and is authorized to certify her. And that's what a letter of exemplification is. So it strengthens the document. So each one of them are swearing on behalf of the fact that they are who they say they are, and they're qualified to do what they're doing. Once you do that with your certificate of live birth, then you go to the state office of your state. All right. For New York, I went to Manhattan, 123 William Street, and then you get this, the apostille. You get it apostilled. And this is certifying that Judith A. Pascal, right, is in fact she is a true county clerk. And what she did with my documents, it is authorized and recognized by the state and is backed by the full faith and credit, right? And that full faith and credit may and ought to be given to said clerk's official acts. That's what an apostille does. It certifies and authenticates that they are doing what they're supposed to be doing, and whatever that they certified, it is to be recognized as a legitimate document. After you do that, then you would send all of this stuff. It's all going to be stapled together. And this is the apostille. That's the apostille ring. So when you get apostille, you're going to get a ring on your document. After that, you're going to send it to the Secretary of the United States of America. All right? And then you're going to get this. This is their authentication document. This is their form of quote-unquote apostille. All right? And I want to try to angle this camera a bit so you can see that right here is the United States seal. It's bubbled up. I don't know if I can get a good angle on this thing so you can actually see it. I went to court one time. I hope you can see it. I can see it just a little. I can see a little bit. There it is. So you can see it's bubble sealed. Anyway, and you can see whose name is that, right? When I got this done, John Kerry, the one who ran for president, yeah, that guy. He was the Secretary of State at the time, and he signed off on it. All right, Secretary of the United States was John Kerry. He signed off on my document. I went into court one time. He was like, He was like, we want a form of identification, and I passed him this joint right here, the whole package here, boom. They looked at it. They saw that bubble seal on it. If you can see it, I don't know if you can see it. And there you go. Anyway, it says Department of State, United States of America, and it's got the bird in the middle of it with the same kind of bird that's on the bottom of it's on the back of the dollar bills. The same kind of bird in the middle of it. So when they saw this joint right here, United States of America, they saw that seal up there. Man, they looked at this thing. It was like, oh shoot. They looked at it. It was like, oh, John Kerry. I'm like, yeah, John Kerry. I'm like, they was like, do you have any other kind of identification? I said, no. I said, you mean to tell me that the DMV can override the Secretary of the United States? They looked at the document. They went to touch it at first, and then they snatched their hand away from it. Like this thing was like infested with some kind of incurable disease or something. They stepped back. They didn't want nothing to do with this document. They didn't want to touch it. They want nothing to do with it. And I let me see, my brother, yeah. Actually both my brothers, my oldest brother and my youngest brother, on two different occasions. You know, it happened right in front of both of them. They saw it. You know what I'm saying? It was interesting, very interesting. So anyway, this is what you do with the birth long form. The birth certificate, you can do that process with the birth certificate, but it's not necessary. You really don't have to do that with the birth certificate. What you want the birth certificate for is for your chargeback process. All right, when you become a secure party creditor, or when you want to start to discharge your debts through the treasury, you want to get the birth certificate, and on the back, you put the stamp on the back and you fill it out. All right, and we already went over that. Okay, now we're going to get to this document here. All right, so the birth certificate and the birth long form are taken care of. That's done. We covered that. Now, this right here, this is the letter that is sent to the Secretary of the Treasury. This is when you're going to let the Secretary of the Treasury know two things. One, hey, I'm going to be operating as a bank. And two, you are my fiduciary. I'm appointing you as my fiduciary by even sending this to you. I'm letting you know that you're going to be my fiduciary trustee. and you're going to take care of these matters, these financial issues, these financial matters for me. Any debt that I have, I'm going to discharge it, and you're going to deal with it. You're going to pay the bill. All right? Like the law says. And then in here, we cite the laws as well. So here, what do we have? We have my information up top, of course. Gave him the date. You can see the date, 2017. All right? Signature and all that good stuff. What happened was when I brought this document to the notary, she actually converted it into a affidavit. You know what I'm saying? Like, she made it into an, you can see, look, without any of her stuff on there, right? You have my information. That's it. I signed off on it, and that was it. She made this into an affidavit. She wrote that in there and made this into an affidavit. That was very interesting. I found that very interesting because I initially it was just I intended to make it just a cover letter to an affidavit, which is underneath it. This is the certification from the Judith A. Pascal, from the company clerk. But this was the affidavit, and as it says it on top, you know what I mean? It was an affidavit. And under this tab right here, this is a copy of the actual document. But in here is the notary block, where the notary signs off and everything. But this part was the affidavit. This was the affidavit. This was just supposed to be the cover letter. The notary saw the document. She was like, we need to make this into an affidavit. And that's what I did. I was like, okay, let's do it. You know what I mean? So that's what happened. So here, what we got here is, please find the enclosed affidavit and sample estate money order. And I gave them an example of my estate money orders. So whenever that stuff comes across their desk, they already recognize it. And that's the thing. We have to put these people on notice before we start doing this stuff. A lot of people are just jumping out there. And that's why a lot of people don't see success when they try to use the money orders or when they try to do these discharges and all that. It doesn't work because you're supposed to put these people on notice first. You can't just jump out there and just start helping yourself to stuff. You know what I'm saying? You have to put these people on notice. You can't surprise them. Because, for an example, if you are, owner of a company or, you got something going on and, people just come to you with problems or situations or whatever, you're a parent. And your kids come to you with a problem or situation, you know what I mean, that had you had, prior information about the situation, you would have been able to handle it a lot more effectively. But no, they come to you and they surprise you with something. Hey, it's the situation now. Boom, boom. I need you to deal with it right now. Like a lot of people come to me. I got a court case. I got a situation. And it's like last minute, like no warning, no nothing. I have to come up with an answer, spare it a moment. You know what happens when you come up with an answer, spare it a moment? Sometimes you'll make mistakes. Sometimes you'll forget things. You know what I'm saying? That could have been, added in there to make the situation a lot more concise, a lot more clear. That's what happens when you get caught spare at a moment. So, a gentleman or a woman, right? They give notice before they start to take action. You know what I'm saying? So you should notify these people. And if in the document, you'll see, I explained to them that it's a non-obligatory here. Let me get this focus here. As a non-obligatory notice of intention. It's not obligatory for me to put them on notice, but it is the actions of a responsible individual, a responsible man or woman. You're going to give them notice so they're prepared. They're not caught off guard. And when they're caught off guard, they may end up violating your rights because they were not told. So you want to give them the information in advance. All right? Prepare them. So, going on. Estate money order, which I presented to them, right? Sent them a copy along with this document. Presented to your office, wherein the executor for the all caps name estate gives notice of special and specific purpose banking. I'm letting them know I'm going to be doing some banking. Right? I'm going to be a bank. I'm a bank. In other words, I'm going to be operating as a bank like I'm supposed to be doing. By affidavit to your office for your consideration, right? Not consideration for them to consider, like I need your permission. No, for consideration, for you to consider the fact that these things are going to be coming. So you consider that it's already put. In other words, put it in your mind. Make sure that you're aware of it. That's what we're talking about, consideration here. As a non-obligatory notice of intention and a statement of understanding in regards to matters of commerce involving the registered, all caps, name, we are relying on your response should there be any denial, rebuttal, or dissenting fact or conclusion of law in regards to the rights asserted and positions set forth therein. In other words, if I made a mistake, if I'm quoting the wrong laws, if I'm doing something wrong, if I'm about to do something that's wrong, it is your obligation upon you to notify me and let me know that I'm doing something wrong or I'm about to do something wrong. And then you'll see at the other affidavit, you'll see that this is Judith A. Pascal again. You'll see in the other affidavit that this affidavit at the end, I'm giving them a number of days. You got this amount of time to respond back and let me know. You know what I'm saying? If you don't respond back, then by your silence is acquiescence in law. So if you're silent, then guess what? I got the authority to do it. And that's how it works. And you operate in the private. And when you're dealing with these people and you hit them off with documents like this, these are called non-response affidavits. They're called non-response affidavits. You send them to them. If they do not respond, then that means you have the green light to do what you said you were going to do in this document. All right? And now, because you're sending the document to them, certified mail or registered mail, then in return, if they're going to refute or rebut what you're saying, they have to also send it back the same way. Why? Because you are operating in the private. You contacted them in the private, and they are supposed to respond back in the private. So now when they do that, then what happens is they have an evidence that they responded back to you, and you would also have an evidence that they responded back to you. So if they don't respond back, then that means what? What you did is absolutely correct. All right, so it's a bit of reading. But Charles of the family Booker, by accommodation, for all caps name, trust, whose domicile is, that was my old address. I don't use that address anymore. I have to rewrite this and put my new address and add the new information from this birth certificate. This is a different birth certificate than I used the first time. And you'll see when I give the bond number and stuff like that, that this birth certificate is, it has different numbers on it. It has different numbers. I am an American national, a private citizen, serving as executor and paramount title holder for the estate. Okay, somebody just hit me up. I don't know who's at it. But anyway, I didn't even see the picture. Okay. The estate and intend to conduct business as a private banker, issuing estate money orders, bills, and notes written against obligations of the United States. The United States is obligated to pay all bills according to the laws that they stated, and they'll be stated later. Indexed in the trade name of all caps name, whose shares are bonded, right? This is the bond number. I'm going to show you the bond number on your birth certificate. This is the bond number, all right? It can either go on it's usually on, sometimes it's on the back of the birth certificate, and then sometimes you'll find it right up here. It'll be the same barcode, and it'll have a number underneath it, all right? That is the bond number, okay, for the birth certificate. So, going in. So, the bonded with the bond number there to stock certificate 197-4128. That will be this number, all right, on the other birth certificate. This is the new number, okay? Where are we at? Okay, and these are the laws that state that these are bonds and that they're to be recognized as far as the bonds and being converted into stocks and stuff like that, and that the public record on file with the Office of Vital Statistics, Department of Health, New York file. That's the number at the bottom on the birth certificate again. That's the different number from the other birth certificate. Records that a living man, commonly referred to as all caps name, took the first breath of life on the 20th day of the month of May in the year 1974, and that as of the date of this affidavit, the man known as not the all caps name remains alive and breathing. Why did you put here a living man commonly referred to as? because when they contact me through the commercial venues and all these different avenues, they're contacting this name. So I'm referred to as this name. But what did I say here? Correction. As of the date of this affidavit, the man known as my properly case name remains alive, right? We're talking about a living man, and breathing, and has not surrendered nor abandoned any claims of life, nor any and all claims of estate, right? Because the belief is that, okay, well, first of all, what happens is when we're born, when our parents fills out that paperwork to become a stockholder in the United States corporation, they make an announcement. They're not just making an announcement to say, hey, this baby is born. You guys need to be happy about it. Let's celebrate. A baby is born. Let's be happy. No, making an announcement. Somebody left their property here at the hospital. They left it. When we fill out those forms, when they created the birth certificate 9 days later, right? I was born May 20th. 9 days later, they made an announcement. Yo, somebody dropped their wallet over here with these bonds, and we need somebody to come and claim it. We don't claim the birth certificates. We don't claim them. So what happens? The law says that the announcement must be made, right? An announcement must be made, and I believe it's after a year or so, something to that effect. I believe it's 90 days. 3 months. 90 days. If the owner does not claim the property, after 90 days, then the government is to take possession of the property and become a trustee over it. So they're a trustee over us. They're a trustee over us because our parents did not go back and claim the birth certificate, claim the bond. So now we become the property. That's why the Supreme Court cases say that we are the property of the United States, because we did not go back and claim the birth certificate. We didn't go back and claim the bond. So now we are property of the United States until someone goes back and claims the property. Now, the other provision that's given to us is to go back and claim the property after the age of 18. Once you reach the age of 18, you have a right to go back and claim the bond. And you would do an affidavit of ownership connected to a birth certificate and then submit it to the Office of Vital Statistics. All right? The town hall also, and make sure that it's recorded in their records that you are claiming the birth certificate. You're claiming it. You're claiming your property. All right? And also, on the back of the birth certificate, that's why this stamp is here. We're letting the Secretary of Treasury know I'm claiming this. Right? For my remedy, release the proceeds, products, accounts, and fixtures in the order or orders to me immediately, in accordance with these public policies. Now, it's saying, no, I'm here. I'm claiming my property. Now give me what's mine. I want everything that belongs to me, everything that this birth certificate, every penny or property that this birth certificate has created or generated revenue or income or items inside of the estate. I want all of that back. I'm claiming it. I'm entitled to it because I'm the owner of the property. The state is no longer the owner. I am the owner, or rather the possessor, because they're just holding it. They're controlling it. It's a trust. They're entrusted to watch over the estate and make sure nobody violates the estate. However, you have individuals inside of the government, and that's what I tell people, it's not the government. It's the people inside that have positions inside of it that see the loopholes and they fill their pockets. They go through the loophole, use it against us, and fill their pockets. Because we are asleep at the wheel. So you got to wake up and take possession of your property. Go back, put in your affidavit of ownership, connect it to the birth certificate, submit it in these agencies. All right? Keep a certified copy of that. Okay? So, this is what we're doing here. Okay? So, the date was born. Okay. I am the authorized representative, paramount title holder. Paramount title holder means nobody's higher than me. I have the greatest greatest right to the title of this property. And the secured party creditor, that's my secured party creditor file number, for the estate of the all capital name, whose shares are bonded, and I give the bond number again that was on the birth certificate, to stock certificate, which is under the barcode. I'm sorry, this is the bond certificate that was under the barcode. Let me get it right. And this is the file number that's filed in the New York State UCC filing. That's filed with the Office of Vital Statistics. New York State UCC filing. This is my Social Security secured party creditor number. Secured party number. Creditor is a result of being a secured party. All right, so you're not a secured party creditor, like that's all one title. It's secured party, and you are a creditor by virtue of that. All right, so we want to be clear about that. I am authorized to discharge the debt obligations for the administrative estate agency of the all caps name. I am authorized to discharge the debt obligations for the administrative estate agency. I'm sending this to the Secretary of the Treasury, wherein Stephen Turner Nuchin, who is the Secretary of the Treasury right now, and all officers of the Treasury of the United States, their agents and assignees, are obligated to discharge the debts dollar for dollar upon presentment of any coin or currency, including notes, as well as bills of exchange. This here is a bill of exchange issued by the estate and or by my autograph, right, for the agency. And this is Public Law 73-10, 48, Statute at Large, 112, right? So what did I say? I said I'm authorized to discharge the debts, right? I'm authorized to discharge the debts. And how am I going to discharge the debts? I'm going to make you do it, because the United States is obligated. The United States is already obligated. They accepted this, right? Officers of the Treasury of the United States, their agents, assignees are obligated to discharge the debts dollar for dollar. Now remember, I'm sending this to him saying, hey, if I wrote anything wrong, by law, you must tell me that I did something wrong. If anything in here is wrong, you are obligated to tell me what's wrong in there and give me the opportunity to correct it. This is in here. He did not respond back. So what does that tell you? This is in here. I'm telling you guys that you're obligated to pay this debt. So if they don't respond back, and they're supposed to, and I'm doing something wrong, then they are committing a crime. They're committing treason against the United States. If they don't respond back and tell me, hey, you can't do that. The United States is not obligated to pay any debts. The United States is not obligated to pay any debts because whatever reason they have. But I'm citing the laws. So what happens? You got to let it rock. In your capacity as agent or officer of the receiving bank, right? You are required, the receiving bank is what? The Department of Treasury. You are required to present the instrument and redeem said payment in lawful money, and payment must then be made towards the specific obligations identified in the provided instructions and for the purpose set forth therein by specific deposit. And let me stop there. Specific deposit, okay? What am I saying here? When I send you a presentment, when you get notice of a money order that I'm using, or any document that I'm using, that I'm giving to some bank or agency, car dealership, finance, I'm going to buy a home with a money order or whatever. I present these presentments and I give them the instructions, telling them that they have to redeem it at the Treasury, right? Because what does it say? Present the instrument and redeem said payment in lawful money. So you got to pay in lawful money. When I'm saying, when they come with that thing, you got to redeem it. You got to pay it in lawful money. Pay them on my behalf. Again, if I said anything wrong in this, he's supposed to send back a response and tell me that's not correct. They did not respond back. Okay? So, here we go. So, by specific deposit. In other words, you have to send back, pay them the amount specifically to them and in a specific manner into their bank account. All right? And that the United States provided the aforementioned remedy for equal consideration of value received, wherein the right to possess gold for monetary purposes by an individual, partnership, association, or corporation was made unlawful. You can't have gold. You cannot possess it anymore since 1933. Executive Order 6102 of April 5th, 1933. House Joint Resolution. That's when they created the House Joint Resolution. So this is the executive order by the president. The president established that nobody can have gold and silver. So once they did that, now the United States now takes on the obligation of paying off any debts that we have, because we don't have any real money. This dollar bills that we're running around with is not real money. If you rip it up, it has the same value as if it was put together. Why? Because it's paper. It's not gold. It doesn't have value in and of itself. Gold, you can go around the entire planet and use gold, and people will take that and give you products. That dollar bill, there's places that the dollar bill is not accepted. So the dollar bill is not real money. Gold is, silver is, but they took that out of our hands with this executive order. Now the law says whenever the government takes something from the people, they must replace it with something of equal value or of greater value. So that's the situation. They had to replace it. And what did they replace it with? Unlimited credit and the ability to discharge the debt through the treasury. The treasury must pay the bill. The government took that stuff from us. They take care of the bill now. That was the exchange. Now, they have to give us that remedy, but they don't have to tell us how to find out how to do it. And this is what we're doing now. We're doing it. The estate money order, notes, and bills written against the United States on the account of the estate are acceptable as currency and are legal tender according to 31 CFR subsection 1010.100 M lowercase 1 USC subsection 5103. These are the laws. I'm hitting them with the laws. All right. So I'm not just coming off the top of my head saying I want to do this. I'm giving you the laws that says yes, you can do these things. Now I'm advising you people that are watching this video to go and look these laws up. You can just Google it. Just punch in the laws in Google, and you can read it for yourself. Read it for yourself. There's nobody making anything up here. All right. Bank officers of any Federal Reserve Bank may receive from funds and lawful money, notes, bills, and other items for collections. International Banking Act of 1978, Section 7, 18 U.S.C., subsection 8, and that the estate notes, let me angle this thing a little bit. Estate notes and bills must not be returned in dishonor unless done so in accordance with Regulation CC and the UCC 3-501 and through 505. UCC subsection 3-601. By the way, 3-601, it states that whenever a debt is owed or claimed and an individual offers a tender of payment, if they offer a tender of payment, they offer to pay it. If that so-called creditor or the agency that says you owe them, if they accept it, then the debt is considered paid. If they reject it, then it's considered discharged. The debt is considered discharged. That's this law right here, 3-601. And the Reserve Bank's operating circulars. All right. So these are the laws that says that, you know what I'm saying? Like, you guys gotta pay these bills, man. Y'all gotta pay these bills. And on top of that, you cannot refuse. These agencies cannot just refuse it. They must do it. That's why it says, unless done so in accordance with Regulation CC, and the UCC and all this other stuff here. All right. They must do it in accordance with that. And what that means is that they have to give you a written explanation as to why they're not honoring it. And it must be valid. It must be valid. Okay. In the event of failure, in other words, they just can't refuse it. They have to give you evidence, physical evidence that you can produce and bring to court if necessary to show that they had a valid reason as to why they're rejecting your presentments, your negotiable instruments, or whatever. In the event of failure or refusal to perform the duties of an officer, I'm talking to him now, agent and/or fiduciary of the estate and Treasury of the United States, without providing a lawful dishonor. In other words, if the money orders come across their desk through some company or whatever, bank or whatever, on behalf of some company, if they fail to honor it, they don't cash that money out. They don't cash out on that money and send that money to these people on my behalf, or any specific law governing your decision to refuse such obligation shall be prima facie evidence of fraud, misrepresentation, piracy, and a trespass against the estate, in addition to the commercial violations. 18 U.S.C. 241, 242. That's 241, 242 is deprivation of rights under color of law, and 242 is conspiracy to deprive one of their rights under color of law. In other words, under fake law. And 15 U.S.C., which is 15 U.S.C. generally has the penalties for these violations. 15 U.S.C. 1, it's basically states that it's like $1 million for an agency if they violate your rights under this, under 241 and 242, under 18, 241, 242. It's $1 million for the corporation, and I believe it's it's $100,000 for an individual. And Regulation J, Regulation CC, the Uniform Commercial Code, and the GAP. General Accounting Principles or something like that. Is GAP. Anyone refuting any of the aforementioned and the following issues must do so on and for the public record in writing by way of sworn affidavit under penalties of the law, including perjury. An assessment of $200,000 for each issue and occurrence of perjury, false and misleading information, and or unproven misleading statements, assertions. In other words, every time they do one of these things, it's $200,000. 200, 200, 200, 200, 200, $200,000 on each one of these joints. You never responded back. And you know what that means? No other refuting documents will be accepted. Failure to respond within how long? 21 calendar days, not business days. Business days, the weekends are not counted. Calendar days will be agreement and estoppel. Now, in law, agreement, right? When you put, it will be agreement, meaning that that everything in here is agreed upon. Everything in here is not refuted, and if we go to court, they already lost. Because why? Because not only are we in full agreement, you agree to everything that I said in here, but an estoppel. An estoppel in law, an estoppel means that you've been stopped from taking any of this stuff into court and trying to charge me or have charges brought against me because of this. You are stopped. You are officially stopped from entering into any court and bringing this issue up in any court. You can't do it. Finally, I, the grantor, my name, a living, breathing, self-aware man, not deceased, not a corporation, not an employee of the corporate U.S. government, and under my free will and act and deed, I am standing firmly as a living man, free living soul, and a holder of the office of the people. I hereby inform you that this is not a request. It is a demand that you acknowledge and protect my human rights, right? Human rights. Interesting. My corporate, right? My fiction rights, right? My rights of my fiction. And my birth rights, right? So this is the living man. It's the fiction here. Human, colorable man. Not, it's a fiction. It's colorable, like colorable law, right? A colorable man. So my fiction's rights and my birth rights, meaning the rights of a living man. So I'm talking about both of us, as well as constitutionally protected rights. And I didn't say constitutional rights because constitutional rights do not exist. If you're running around saying you're violating my constitutional rights, you don't know what you're talking about, and they know that you don't know what you're talking about. The Constitution gives you no rights. The rights are given to us by God, and the Constitution is put in place to protect those rights, protect them. It puts these public servants in line. It puts them in check. That's what the Constitution was for, to make sure that these people don't try to steal or violate our rights. That's what the Constitution was for. The Constitution is not for us, the people. It is for the corporate or the agents that work for the corporate U.S. It's put in place to put them in line, to keep them in line. That's why they keep trying to get rid of that Constitution, the original Constitution. Because once they get rid of that, then it's a free-for-all on the real men and women, the flesh and blood men and women. They can violate your rights because the Constitution is not there to protect them. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't exist. So therefore, they, in their twisted plan, they can now violate your rights because there's nothing there to protect your rights. You know what I'm saying? All right. This is my name here, right? Free will act and deed under my hand and seal. My name. Do affirm that I have read the above affidavit and do know the contents to be true, correct, complete, and not misleading, the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And of course, sign my name, authorized representative / executor, signature, right thumbprint, which is my seal, and then the notary block is under this, and the notary signed off on that, and that's how I got the authentication. In other words, you can't get this tab unless the notary is signed off on it. So, and that's it, folks. That's all I got. If you have any questions, if you like the video, give me a thumbs up. Let me know that you appreciated it. You know what I mean? If you found it to be informative, you could leave a note inside the comment section. And people have a good day, and hopefully this will help a few people out. Thank you.